Oh no, according to Reuters, Tesla's next-gen vehicle is scrapped. The Model 2 is no more. But Elon has something to say about that, and it will blow your mind. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I was not planning on doing this video at all today, so there's a little bit of a windy road to get to the point of this, but it all started this morning while I was in the middle of a bunch of meetings when Reuters actually posted this article that said exclusive Tesla scraps low-cost car plans amid fierce Chinese EV competition. Now, the interesting part is that this article has been updated 9 minutes ago at 5:32 p.m., so this is not the original article, but basically Tesla, according to Reuters here, Tesla has canceled the long-promised inexpensive car that investors have been counting on to drive its growth into a mass market automaker, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter and company messages seen by Reuters. And unfortunately, I don't have access to the original article, but it doesn't talk about the next stuff. But basically, they say that their sources are anonymous and that they said X, Y, and Z. And so, of course, this caused a gigantic stock crash this morning. If you look here, you can pretty much figure out where the Reuters article appeared. It was right around 11 o'clock a.m. We had a gigantic crash in the stock price. Then Elon responded to it and he said that they were lying, and we're going to get to that in a minute, and it went back up again, and now after hours it has rocketed back up again on later news about a Robotaxi. So first of all, there apparently was a lot of trading activity right before this Reuters article came out, which makes you really wonder about insider trading and stuff like that. People may have done shorts and everything. I don't know. It's very difficult to know. I actually purchased stock at the beginning of the morning, so I purchased it, somewhere about back here when it was like 171. So it looks like it's basically regained it. So nothing happened after all of that brouhaha. But anyway, it's very interesting to see the movement of the stock in relation to these stories and responses and all of that kind of stuff coming out. So like we saw, the article itself was published about 11 o'clock in the morning. You can see at 11:35, Elon Musk said Reuters is lying again. And so we could see that drop off. And then when Elon responded, it went back up again. So crazy stuff where individuals like a newspaper and a single individual are causing stock movement of a gigantic company to this extent. It's pretty nuts. But this, of course, takes us to the really interesting part, which is what happened just about an hour ago as I record this. And by the way, I'm going to reserve the right to add an addendum at the end of this if more stuff breaks and develops overnight. So if I suddenly appear like a couple of hours later or tomorrow morning and add something at the end of this, just stay tuned for that as well. Who knows what's going to happen over the next few hours. But anyway, at 4:49 p.m., which is exactly now an hour ago from right now, Elon said Tesla Robotaxi unveil on 8/8. And of course, that means August 8th. August 8th actually turns out to be a Thursday, which works out rather well because that's when Tesla usually likes to do things. Usually Tuesdays and Thursdays are their reveal days and when they have big meetings and things like that. So anyway, that's really cool. But the interesting part is here, he did not say August 8, he said 8/8. And 8/8 in China is a very, very lucky 8 is a lucky number. And so you've got 2 8s in the date. And then of course, Sawyer Merritt immediately reposted about that and said the number 8 is considered the luckiest number in Chinese culture. It's associated with wealth, prosperity, and success. And Elon Musk then responded to that and said 8/8, the year of the dragon. So very intentionally, this is lucky numbers in China and it's a lucky year. People want to have their babies in the year of the dragon and stuff because it's considered to be a very lucky year. And just before I discuss the implications of all of this stuff, let's add one more piece of data here. Ashok, a couple of days ago on April 1st, and so I kind of dismissed it because it was April 1st, said it is the beginning of the end. And of course, you can see here that Penny2X responded the beginning of the end of humans driving. So yeah, we could be looking at something where Ashok, even though it was April 1st, might have been posting something a little bit more revealing than at first appeared. I've always valued a healthy lifestyle, but with more years comes a greater need to be very intentional about feeling healthy and young. That's where AG1, today's sponsor, comes in. AG1 is foundational nutrition that helps me maintain that healthy lifestyle and to keep doing what I love to do, including going biking with the warm April weather. Between cutting out processed sugar and drinking AG1 daily, I can honestly say I feel years younger. My joints don't ache and I have so much more energy than I did before, which is great for daily activities and for special events like our recent ski trip. AG1 is a science-driven formulation with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens. AG1 gives you the foundational nutrition your body craves, and the probiotics and prebiotics help my digestive system stay regular no matter what I throw at it. Either way, it tastes great, is super easy to integrate into my daily habits, and I've really noticed how much AG1 has helped me reach my fitness goals. It's one daily routine I won't change. Be sure to go to drinkag1.com/drknowitall to get your free welcome kit that includes a canister, a shaker, a year's supply of vitamins D3 and K2, and 5 extra travel packs of AG1. This and a gym membership will be the best thing you can do to better your health. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to click my link to get your free welcome kit, and now let's get back to it. All right, so that's all the evidence. What can we gather from that? First of all, it sounds like Reuters, even though everyone was up in arms about how Reuters was lying about this, including Elon, and yes, the way they spun it, again, the updated article is very, very different than the original article. They've modified it to some extent to take account of the Robotaxi thing. But originally, it just said they were canceling the Model 2, the next-gen vehicle, amid fierce Chinese competition. The idea that was imported in the title, and if you read the first couple of paragraphs, was that Tesla couldn't compete anymore in China, and therefore they just were scrapping their plans. They just were not going to compete in the low end because they couldn't compete. Now, of course, with a little bit of logic, that really doesn't make a lot of sense, because even if Tesla, just hypothetically, couldn't compete in the Chinese space with the sub $25,000 cars there, they could sell that same car in the United States, in Europe, in Mexico, in Canada, you name it, most other markets in the world, even assuming they couldn't sell it in China. And also, it would make no logical sense for Tesla to bail on the low-cost car because they want to compete in that space with Chinese companies. And quite honestly, it's been in their master plan for years and years and years. So master plan part 2 spelled that out, that they want a mass market car on the market. They want to reduce the cost again from the Model 3 and Model Y level and, the $40,000-ish range to around the $25,000 range. So logic would dictate that Tesla did not scrap the vehicle, but Reuters actually might be right in the end. And of course, they put it in and backfilled their story, so it looks a lot better now, like as if they predicted this. But as Elon says, the Robotaxi is going to be unveiled on 8/8, and that changes the game entirely. What that means is that Reuters actually might be right, and maybe Tesla is no longer planning on selling a consumer version of this vehicle. If we go back and look at Walter Isaacson's biography, you know that Elon pushed really, really hard for the next-gen vehicle to just be a flat-out Robotaxi, and Franz and Lars and those folks argued him into a car that was modular enough that they could put in the accelerator and the brake pedal and the steering wheel and everything, but that it would be very easy to take it out so that they could easily build a Robotaxi model when the time came and they thought they could get approval for it. So we know from Isaacson's biography that Elon has been very, very into making the next-gen vehicle a Robotaxi only. He was argued out of it. Full self-driving at the time just was not showing that it was going to develop quickly enough to get to the point where humans were no longer needed to drive. But then between Ashok's recent posts, and I've done a bunch of videos on this, if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out. But between Ashok's posts and Elon's posts and driving full self-driving, and the fact that we got 12.2, 12.3, 12.3.2.1, 12.3.3, and who knows when the next version is coming out. And then you add on top of that, Ashok and Elon have seen 2, 3, 4 versions past what we consumers have seen. So they've seen into the future by a month or two from what we're seeing right now, or maybe longer than that. So they know how good this car is at driving, or will be with the next versions of the software that just haven't gone through all of the testing and all of the stuff they need to release it to the public. They have an insight that we don't have, and both of them seem really, really excited about that. And again, if you don't want to believe Elon, if you think he's always been too optimistic and stuff, and he has been in the past, right? He's a very optimistic person, and it's really cool, and he gets excited and he says stuff, but Ashok's been pretty quiet, and he's a conservative kind of guy by nature. He doesn't go spouting out things like it's the beginning of the end or unprecedented progress without a pretty solid reason. So even if you don't believe Elon, you can believe Ashok. He is very excited about this. And then if we throw on top of that, of course Elon just announced today that 8/8 is going to be the reveal, which is just about 4 months from now. We're talking about something that's coming up very, very soon, and this will likely break the entire model of driving, which means that Tesla might indeed have decided to cancel the consumer version of the Model 2, whatever it's going to be called. Maybe the car will not be called anything else. It'll just be called Robotaxi at this point, because there will no longer be a consumer version. If that's the case, then Tesla is aiming at a completely different target than they were before. No longer do they need to produce 20 million cars a year to fulfill all of the driving needs. If we look at James Dalma's recent post about ride hailing in the Chicago area, which is 1% of the US population, population and how it only takes 10,000 rideshare cars to be able to fulfill the needs of the Chicago public, then you can look at a situation where if you multiply that by 100, you only need 1 million robotaxis to fulfill all of the current ride-hailing needs in the United States. Now, if we're going to replace a lot of cars that we personally own, we're going to have to do a lot more ride-hailing miles. But the dire need for 20 million of these per year to replace all of the cars that we have now is going to be greatly reduced if Tesla can produce these things as full self-driving robotaxis. Now, even if they do something that technologically works like a charm, it's going to take a long time to get regulatory approval across the United States, then Canada, then Europe, then China, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to take a long time. But in the meantime, these cars can be produced in a much smaller quantity. And it's really interesting. We also have rumors that Tesla is looking at India very, very hard to build a car factory there as well. And if we attach that to Mexico, we could be looking at a situation where what Tesla wants to do is to be able to pump out these robotaxis at a rate that basically, as each individual area geography of the world comes online in terms of regulation, they can easily push cars into that area because they've already got factories in those geographic locations. So there's a lot of complexity involved in this, but what it looks like is that Reuters unintentionally, intentionally, whatever, has actually hit upon the right answer, which is that Tesla is not going to be selling their next generation vehicle. They're going to be producing it for ride hailing only. Now, they're screaming headline about how, fierce Chinese competition, how they can't compete, how they canceled it for that reason. That's just flat out wrong. But the upshot of this is that it looks like you might not be able to buy a $25,000 Tesla, but you might not care because you'll be able to ride in one anytime you want to. And of course, if this does come about, this really changes the landscape of transportation itself. So a couple of final questions to ask. I don't know the answers to these. Where is the reveal going to take place? A lot of people just assume it's going to happen in Austin, Texas at their headquarters. I don't know. It's 8/8 and Elon didn't say August 8th. He said 8/8, which means maybe the reveal will be in China, although I think that's kind of weird since they don't have a full self-driving robotaxi presence there. There is also a reasonable option that they might put it in the Bay Area. They might do it at their Fremont factory. And the reason why is because San Francisco has been very, very friendly to autonomous vehicles. And how cool would it be if at this unveil, at this reveal, Tesla could actually provide robotaxi rides to consumers in that area, in probably a geographically fenced area or something, but they could actually let people ride around in the taxis just like a Cruise or a Waymo vehicle at this point. And certainly I would expect Tesla to be working very hard with regulators, especially in California and especially in the Bay Area of California, to be showing these regulators the data to try to get them to allow these robotaxis to operate as quickly as possible in that area and then spread out from there. So as far as the where for the reveal, Austin is the odds-on favorite, but I would not put China or Fremont factories out of the question either, because I think that those are two very reasonable possibilities given the data that we have. And then of course the other question, which I've already touched on, is when will the first robotaxi rides be happening? Well, maybe they will happen during the reveal itself, right? So maybe it will be on August 8th. Maybe Tesla will say by the end of the year. If Tesla does do it by the end of the year, then Stephen Mark Ryan is going to give himself a big pat on the back because he has been saying for years it was going to be the end of 2024 somewhere in the United States, probably in California. So he could be dead on about this, which is going to be pretty remarkable considering he started predicting this about 4+ years ago. And then the final piece of the puzzle is, how is this going to change the landscape of transportation? Well, it's going to be a little bit slow at first because of course Tesla won't be able to produce multiple millions of these vehicles all at once. But let us not forget that currently I have 2 potential robotaxis sitting in my garage right now. So if Tesla is able with hardware 3 and especially with hardware 4 to produce a product that functions as a robotaxi, and they can allow us consumers to do that as well, and they've been working on fleet management software and all of that stuff, we could be looking at the robotaxi revolution happening relatively quickly, again, assuming regulatory approval in different geographies around the United States and Canada, but this could start rolling out a lot faster than people think. I don't know whether Tesla is going to allow us consumers to rent out our cars as robotaxis, or whether we'll just be able to drive them without having to actually touch the wheel or something. But if they do, we could be looking at a couple of million vehicles in North America that just like this could be turned on and become effective robotaxis. So as Tesla ramps production of this new next gen vehicle, they wouldn't have to actually have multiple millions to be able to have a very, very rapid impact on the nature of transportation in North America, and then as they get approval in China and Europe, etc. So this is all rather mind-blowing news. I know we've been thinking about it for years, but if we actually in the year 2024 get to the point where vehicles are actually driving themselves around and not multi-$100,000 sensor suites on, just rails where they're only able to go exactly where they're programmed, but in a free sense, the way that Tesla's full self-driving works, and with a relatively inexpensive camera suite and Tesla's hardware 4, we really are looking at the year of embodied AI, aren't we? All right, so does this get you excited? It definitely gets me excited. Definitely sound off in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this stuff. In the meantime, thanks again so much to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out my link in the description to get your starter kit, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.